I'd like to welcome everybody to the Tuesday, April 15th, Mississippi Advisory Commission on Marine Resources. Commissioner Daniels, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Thank you, sir. Director, would you like to lead us in a prayer, sir?
Yeah, before we go to prayer today, just want y'all all to think about a friend of ours here that works with us, Rudy Bayless. Rudy's been with us for a long time, and Rudy had a battle with cancer for quite a few years and fought the cancer and has won. And then all of a sudden, last week, he came down with some type of bacteria, and he's in the hospital in Ocean Springs over there right now. He has come out of ICU, but he was literally dead for 18 minutes. And he has come back though, but and they're bringing him back. He's able to talk a little bit now. He's able to grip people's hands and look at them and talk. So keep Rudy in your hearts, please, because he is a great worker with us. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this opportunity. We just ask that you just give this commission and this agency the wisdom and knowledge to do the things you would have done and not our way. Lord, let us listen to you and not ourselves. And we just ask that you give us the wisdom to do it your way and not ours. I ask this in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. All right, we have the minutes from March 18th. Do we have any questions on the minutes? No questions. Do we have any approval? Motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to the agenda. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the agenda? And are there any questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Director, looks like it's all yours, sir.
Okay. If we could, we'll go forward with the, first off, if you have any public comment, TJ's in the back. Raise your hand, TJ. And please get to him and get the comment to us. And if it's a part of the agenda of what it is, please put that on on where you want to talk about. And if it's not part of the agenda, then we'll just do it at the end. So if you have comments on something, please let me know. Okay. Employment contracts. Only thing we have is Brady. Brady over here, if you look at him, Brady's been promoted with us, and we appreciate that, to Systems Administrative Specialist too. Brady does a fantastic job taking care of us here, and we appreciate that. So congratulations, Brady. All right, the next thing up is the agency update. Our next commission meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 20th at 9 a.m. Any problems with that, commissioners? Okay. All right, our legislative update. Well, as you know, that legislators went home without a budget for anybody in the agency, in the state, but that's something that'll be worked out in a special session with the governor. And so we don't know the date of that or what it'll be, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think it was just a situation that where they couldn't agree with something, and we'll get it done. We do have House Bill 602, which is crawfish and seafood provide country of origin labeling requirements, and that has passed, and it's due with the governor, and we're hoping it'll be signed by the 24th, I think, of this month by the governor. So that's basically a seafood labeling bill, and the labeling bill, what it will do, it will basically be starting out with trying to get people to say, is it import or is it domestic? And that's what we want to know. We're not arguing with anybody serving anything anyway. It's just the question is it an import or is it domestic? Kind of like the catfish we did in 1975. Didn't realize it'd been that long since that bill had been in effect. But the point is, what we want you to do is to label that either at your restaurants or either at your businesses where you sell or process food, seafood, just to say that it is. And we're not going to put the country of origin in it at this time. And a requirement is something you can do if you want to, because number one, especially with the shrimp and all, with a large amount of it being imported, Sometimes it comes from different countries, and we don't want them to have to put that on their menu or whatever and change it every week. And then we know what it costs to do something like that. So if they just put that they're serving import or either serving domestic and you know what they're doing, that'll be a way to work. Also in that, we're going to put together a task force. And the task force will have some people from the governor's office, lieutenant governor's office, the speaker's office, and I think we'll also have the tourism. We'll have Department of Agriculture, which is in on this with us, and DMR, and we're going to put some seafood processors or fishermen on that, and tourism. All of it will be together, and restaurant association I think will be there. So we want to sit down and see how to do this and get it right. And we know this is just a first level to go across the board to say, hey, we're going to start saying it's either domestic or not, and then after that we'll work that point. Any questions, Commissioner? The House Bill 1095, Department of Marine Resources exempt certain leases has been approved by the governor. Basically what this is the off-bottom oysters, and if you have an off-bottom oyster lease, and the only area we have that now is south of Deer Island, that if you go delinquent on it, that it doesn't go up for sale. It just means that they take it back from you. The agency will take it back to Secretary of State, and it will be taken back, but it doesn't go up for sale because they were selling these on a public auction and people buying it because they didn't know what they were buying. And then but we don't need anyone owning a piece of property there to do off-bottom oystering that does not understand, is not certified to do it, because that's something that can be very dangerous, and we don't want to have that since people consume them as a raw product. So that's great that they helped us with that, and that worked out real good. We also have Senate Bill 2003, boat and other vessels updating numbering, and the governor, it's approved by it, and he's already signed it, and it's to change the lettering and all on the boating, and process there. We had some issues with that. Senate Bill 2263 to approval of oyster leases by the Department of Marine Resources, clarifying the authority. It's been passed, and it's sitting at the governor's office to be signed on the 24th, hopefully. And this is basically the same bill that we'll talk a little bit about as far as on leasing the bottoms, which in the bill last year gave us the authority to be able to lease the bottoms for oystermen, and to be able for people to come in and have that. This is clarifying it a little bit more, because the first bill stated that we had to lease 80% and could only keep 20%. This bill says that we have the authority to lease up to 80%, and the rest will stay with the state. So it doesn't restrict us to the 20%, which is a good thing for us, and I think that'll be good for us in the future for what we're doing. And it also clarified a few other details in there. But also our three commissioners, McClendon, Roberts, and Mayfield, all were confirmed. Congratulations. Thank y'all. Y'all been, this whole side right here has been confirmed, and 2 was reconfirmed and 1 a new one. So appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for being part of it. Anything else I'll need from the legislature side of it, I'll let you know as soon as we have an idea about the special session. Okay, update on the on-bottom oyster lease. You know, we went in with the on-bottom oyster lease, and what we did is we hired 2 different firms to help us with this. We hired Phelps Rosa and them to come in and do the audit as far as the finance part of it. And so if you ask to lease a piece of property on bottom, then the financial part of that, I didn't want to be responsible for what your finances, and you had to show that you had the capability to be able to manage it and do it and to take care of it. Well, we sent it to an accounting firm. They looked at it and came back, and they have given their grade as to what they think a person could or could not do. As far as the grading as to whether you qualify as far as experience or anything else, was given to the Horn Group out of Jackson, and they're looking at it, and they'll come back and they will grade that out accordingly, and then they will take the 2 and put them together, and then we will marry it up according to the map of what we have and what people had put in for. So this is a process that's going to take a little time, and so I'm very sorry it hadn't been happening as quick as people would like, but we want to do it right, and we want to make sure that we give the idea is to be able to lease the property to the person or company or whoever that will take care of it, manage it, operate it. And that's what we're looking for. And hopefully that'll work out. We'll see what, and we'll give you an update as soon as we have it. I talked with them yesterday, and they're working hard on it. Hopefully we'll have some kind of idea in May, and then we'll be able to move forward shortly after that. Any questions on the leases? Okay, Bonnie Carey update. Just to give you an idea, I talked with the Corps this week, this past week. I haven't talked to them the last 2 days, but there's a lot of question too, before we get into the other part of this, is as to where the Bonnie Carey's at this point right now. Are they going to have to open it or not? There's a lot of questions out there. According to what the Corps was looking at, they are thinking that it will go to 15.9 feet at the gauge by, I think it was the 21st of this month. That has been updated a little bit. We're not exactly sure what it is right now, but there is a lot of flooding that they're expecting up in the Delta right now. And so you can expect the Delta to get flooded. All those rains and all the snow and everything that we had in the northern part of the United States, especially the central part of the United States, it's coming here. It's coming down. It's coming down in the Mississippi River some way. I think it's 32 states, is that right, that feed into the Mississippi? So if you think about that, and you think of all the Ohio, the Kentucky, up in, you take Iowa, all those areas, all that snow and all is coming down. And when it melts, it's coming somewhere. It's got to go, and it's going to get into the water system some way. The question is, will it or will it not have to open the Bonnie Carey? If it reaches 17 feet on the gauge at New Orleans, and that's another thing. People keep thinking 17 feet at Carrollton, and that's not it. It's now they look at New Orleans. So we have a gauge there, and if it reaches 17 feet or 1.25 million cubic feet per second, that's when they feel that they have to open the Bonnie Carey. As far as the Morganza north of that, it's 1.5 million cubic feet per second, I think is the number, and it has to reach 20 feet on the gauge. I think, Rick, is that right? Is it 20? Yeah. But anyway, and so we'll see what happens. The Mississippi River study, they're doing a lower Mississippi River study on it, and I tell you their number one priority. Their number one priority is how we can mitigate operation of opening the Bonnie Carey. That's what they're trying hardest to figure out how to do. And so I appreciate the Corps of Engineers for doing that. I thank them for stepping up to the plate and trying to fight hard for us. We'll see what happens. I will keep you updated. Hopefully, if it does open, it'll just be a minor opening. At this time of the year, usually if it's going to open, it's in March and April time frame. But it's just kind of late for it if it's happening. So we'll see what happens, and we'll keep you updated. As far as the other, the 2019 Bonnie Carey, as far as an update where we're at on it, we have the financial assistance for the Mississippi commercial fishermen and seafood dealers in the charter fishing business funding of $8.7 million. We spent $8.4 million of that, and commercial $7.7, and charter $600,000. Of the 94 applicants received, 72 were found to be eligible. Staff is processing the 72 applications for round 2 direct payments. And what we did is we went back and we realized that some people did not get the information, so we wanted to make sure that they had it. This was to take care of our fishermen that had lost didn't have a capability of fishing during that year. And all agreements have been signed and fully executed, and final payments are in the process. So it includes 66 commercial fishermen and 5 charters and 1 dealer. Under the grant program for new and emerging seafood processing technologies, funding right at 3.7 million. We spent 2.3 million of that. 76% of the funds have been distributed to 18 of the 24 applicants. Of the Bonnie Carey disaster for 2020, we have right at $3 million, 2.993. And what we're going to do with that, this will be this is in addition to the 2019 Bonnie Carey. We were able to qualify for another $3 million in 2020, but it's only for the oyster and shrimp fishermen. That's the only one that we could qualify for. So we're going to put something out. The staff will put that together. We will do a public notice. We will send out cards. We're going to try everywhere in the world we can to make sure you get the information that you need. If you qualified for the 2019 Bonnie Carey and you would qualify for the 20, please come back and look at it and make sure your application's current and make sure we'll get the information out. Tracy, is there anything else I need to add to that? Okay. But we're going to get information. We will email you. We're going to send you a card. We're going to, what else? Every way in the world that we can. We're going to try to get the word to you, okay? And for the fishermen out there, please, if you're oyster or shrimp fisherman, talk to your buddy and make sure that they know it. Okay. All right. Commissioners, any questions on that? All right. So that's the Bonnie Carey update at this point. We had a council meeting in Orange Beach last week. I can tell you it was a very good meeting. It went on, and a lot of good things have come out of it. We're looking at it. Our next meeting will be in Tampa now instead of they moved it from Key West to Tampa because of the cost. And they'll be in Tampa on the second, third. It's only a 2-day meeting now, the second and third, or third and fourth. I can't remember which one it is in June. But it'll also be virtual. If you need to be able to get on it, you'll be able to get on it for that too. But the commission is the council's trying to figure out where all their funding is. And with this new things in government right now in Washington, D.C., they have to get everything approved. And so they did cut back. And I think that's great that we're able to continue. Any questions on that? All right. The first annual Governor's Seafood Fishing Tournament will be on the 24th and 25th of June. It's a tournament that we're going to have, and if you did not know, we're part of the Mississippi Wildlife, Fisheries, Parks, and Marine Foundation now. So we're all one foundation, and we're part of it. We're an equal part, and we're able to, and what we're going to do is this will be a fundraiser to be able to raise funds for the foundation, and the money will be used to be able to get scholarships students to go into marine biology and marine science, and also to be able to teach kids how to fish, and also to be able to help people to the underprivileged to being able to have a chance to fish and what we can do. We're going to do a lot of good programs with it, and we'll use some of it. Some of it is going to be used also to be able to help the environment as far as the estuary itself and what we'll do to restore the products of it, and it'll offset some of those things that we're working on. So we're working very hard on it. The foundation is working hard to try to get us funding. We're trying to do something to help the water quality in the in the Pascagoula River area, and we're trying to do something to be able to help work it to where we can be able to get the water quality to where we can have those oysters that are sitting out there in Pascagoula that are very beautiful, that we could be able to harvest them and eat them, because as they sit right now, most of them are in prohibited areas and cannot be harvested because of the water quality. So this is something we're going to work hard on, and the commission, and the foundation is working hard with us to do that. So any questions on that? So if you want to be a part of that tournament, please let me know. All right. Update on derelict vessels. 185 have been turned in. 162 have been removed. 23 are pending removal, and 7 received court orders. So looks like we're doing pretty good right now. I can tell you right now, we're as far as anybody, as Stephen and Roy been doing a great job on that, and we're way ahead of everybody else. All right, let's see. As far as actions update, anything else y'all have for me? Not, we'll do, agency update. And now we'll go to actions update.
Good morning. Excuse me. Discussed at the March 2025 meeting, the commission recommended and the director approved a motion requesting that the department staff evaluate the possibility of establishing a charter skiff or endorsement similar to what Louisiana has in place. And regarding that issue, that was evaluated, and we're going to have to bring that issue to the legislature, and steps are beginning to address that issue.
All right, thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Director. Appreciate the update there. Moving on to Commissioners' report. Do we have any commissioners that have anything they'd like to report on today?
I just wanted to tell the general and everybody at the DMR who worked so hard getting this House Bill 602 through to the governor's office. It's going to be very big for us. It's going to ensure the continuity of our seafood heritage and the reputation of our cuisine for everybody that's coming down here. So thank you.
Great job. Appreciate that, Commissioner. Chief Wilkerson, Office of Marine Patrol, for a report on citations.
Good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Do know that we are praying for Rudy. Rudy is a big part of this entire agency, and he goes back a long way, and he's a good friend of mine, and he is in our prayers. It looks like we have a pretty busy agenda today with all these folks here. I'm going to make it brief. Marine Patrol has been vigilant out there. There were several stops. Nothing jumps out at me. It looked like we had about close to 1,200 stops this month alone, or last month alone. Other than that, if you have any questions, I'll field them.
No, sir. Anybody have any questions? Appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Thank you. Lieutenant Colonel Jackson is going to do the no-wake zone.
Okay. Lieutenant Colonel.
Good morning. Just click it. All right, so I've got a brief no-wake zone proposal near Percy Miller Park, Jackson County. You can see the shaded areas. It's off of Fort Bayou, the main bayou. Right. I'm trying to see where the pointer is, Brady. Anyway, Percy Miller Park is the large parking area. You can see lower left-hand side right there. The already required state no-wake zone extends to the west and ends. They're requesting a extension of the already state no-wake zone by state law to the east, all the way to the end of the bayou. As you can see, there's multiple personal structures, and it narrows the waterway to less than 45 feet across, and it's pretty shallow there as well. This is a hot topic in Jackson County. I've received several emails and phone calls about it, and I've seen some social media posts about it, so pretty hot topic. Some effects to boaters. Boaters would be operating at an idle speed approximately 8.5 minutes for the total length of the proposed no-wake zone. As you know, there's 200 feet in there, 100 feet each side of the boat ramp that's already required. So some of that would be taken off of that for their total amount of idle speed. The bayou, to include privately owned structures, narrows in places to 45 feet, as I already said. The proposed no-wake zone is approximately 1,250 feet in total length. And the no-wake zone, as I said, is an extension of the already existing no-wake zone required by state law. So what's interesting about this no-wake zone, usually the affected area is center point, and you have no-wake zone operating either side. But all traffic leaving and returning to Percy Miller Park can flow west with no restrictions, basically. So the restrictions would only be in front of the personal property to the east. So with that in mind, the Office of Marine Patrol requests the Commission recommend to the Director approval and establishment of no-wake zone for the proposed location near Percy Miller Park based on normal operation and vessel speed in relation to public access areas in which people fish, boat, and socialize.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna call it a residential bayou. A situation like this is that not implied in the state of Mississippi that it's a no wake zone whenever you've got houses on both sides of it? Or
It's not applied. I mean, it's not implied. There is state requirements that you are responsible for your own wake. So, a vessel entering that bayou sees another vessel, begins to slow down, correct? And as he approaches, the wake has to mitigate prior to getting to the vessel. Well, that bayou is pretty shallow to the east where they're requesting it. And as I said, it narrows to about 45 feet across, which isn't a very long distance. And so it doesn't have time to mitigate the wake as they're approaching those properties. So if somebody's swimming off of one of their docks or so forth and they come down, they're actually creating more of a wake situation when they do so.
familiar? What's the process for the reason I'm asking these questions, I got a text message from a resident in our neighborhood yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Same situation. Houses on both sides, docks, boats, narrow bayou, and he's saying he's having a problem. What's the process for requesting a no wake
So the
zone?
process is depending on if they are inside city or strictly governed by the county, they go through their government body. So if it's county, they would go through their board of supervisors. If it's city, it's the board of aldermen for their city. They would request the proposal for the no wake zone. That governing body would then do a resolution, submit it to me. We substantiate, Office of Marine Patrol substantiates the claim and then presents to the commission for adoption.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. And it must be no wake zone season because I've gotten about 3 more requests. So I'll be back before you guys soon.
I mean, this one looks like a no-brainer to me. I'll make the motion to approve.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Aye.
Oh, wait, hold on one second. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Chief, I just want to point out a couple one thing actually. So last week at the Gulf Council, with the Gulf of America Council, selected the law enforcement officer or team of the year. Unfortunately, Mississippi didn't get it, but I do want to commend Senior Master Sergeant Lipscomb and Master Sergeant Huxley. They represented very well and actually got some support, not just from us. So please thank them on behalf of the commission here and keep doing the great work.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. All right, moving on down to, looks like Office of Coastal Resources Management. We have Jared Harris with a presentation on the Deer Island habitat restoration.
Good morning. I'm just going to give a short presentation on a restoration project we have at Deer Island. All right, so it's called DIHR, Deer Island Habitat Restoration. The funding source for this project, we were given a subaward from MDEQ, which through money that they received from Restore and NIFLIF. The total project footprint is about 70 acres. The outer chenier is 4,520 linear feet, and it'll be built to a +6 crest height. The inner chenier is 1,975 linear feet, and it will be built to a +3 crest height. The interior capacity where we will accept dredge sediments is, depending on the makeup of the sediment, it'll be 470,000 to 570,000 cubic yards that we'll be able to place in here and bring it up to an elevation conducive to marsh height. Just a timeline. The application for this site was submitted on April 18th, 2018. DMR issued their authorization on August 31st, 2018. The Corps issued their authorization on April 9th, 2021. The contract was awarded December 3rd, 2024. and the notice to proceed to the contractor was issued on January 4th, 2025. This is the plans that you can see, just a close-up view of the interior chenier, which is labeled B, and then the outer chenier, which is A. These are the most recent when this presentation was put together, just some site photos of the work that was going on. Obviously, it's changed a little bit now, as this was probably a week or two ago. But this is just a few photos of them, Breakwater Marine, constructing the outer chenier. And that's it. Does anybody have any questions?
Got something, Director?
Yeah, Jared, if you don't mind, just for the people that are here, explain what this will actually do for Deer Island.
So ultimately, we have some. Let me see if I can go back. So this is west of Grand Bayou. So if you look, if you could see an aerial imagery, you would see as you move east, there's been two other, which was called DIMR1 starting from the east, and then DIMR2. So essentially, we permit these containment structures, and then when the counties or municipalities go to dredge, they're able to place the sediment in here through an MOA they establish with us. The county and municipality handles all the dredging. We don't do the dredging, but they're able to place their material in here. The MOA stipulates the elevation that they need to pump that material to. So we're ultimately trying to grow marsh. The main objective is to create habitat, but it also saves the counties and municipalities a lot of money, because the only other option besides placing the sediment in here and using it for a beneficial use is to take it upland to a site, which they pay a decent amount of money for, a lot more than it costs them to go here. And then the sediment's removed from the system, whereas this keeps the sediment in the system.
Thanks, Jared. Any questions? More questions for Jared? Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, moving down to wetlands permitting. Looks like the first is are down to the City of Oceans. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, the port. Alyssa?
Yes,
ahead.
we're going to talk about Deer Island again. So the United States Army Corps of Engineers has requested a federal agency consistency certification for a project located on Deer Island in Biloxi. The current use districts at the location include general use districts and preservation areas. And the purpose and need of this project is to restore the island's historic footprint. So what the applicant is proposing to do is to fill 272 acres of unvegetated coastal wetlands in order to complete restoration of approximately 400 acres of habitat. And this will be made up of, they're going to fill 260 acres of water bottom as part of the island expansion. And within that area, they will create beach and dune habitat, maritime forest, and tidal marsh. They will also construct a 12-acre nearshore segmented breakwater. And the remainder of the 400 acres of the island restoration is part of the previously authorized BU site that's filling the lagoon, creating 128 acres of emergent tidal marsh. Other impacts associated with the construction of this project include construction of temporary berms as necessary, excavation of channels to restore hydrologic connectivity, and dredging of access channels. The entire restored island will be monitored over a period of 5 years after construction to ensure the success of the restoration effort. The project is located on and around the eastern portion of Deer Island, just south of Biloxi and Ocean Springs. So the island will be expanded to the southeast, where you see the big area of green and blue that is the water bottoms that will be filled to expand the island back to its historic footprint. So the beach and dune creation will occur in the brown shaded areas. The marsh restoration and creation is the blue area. The green shaded area is the proposed maritime forest restoration. The gray blocks along the southern shore and the eastern point of the island, the area going around the island, is the proposed nearshore breakwater. The red lines that are going to the island and around the island are the access channels that may need to be constructed in order to get construction equipment out there. And then there are some very tiny spots next to the maritime forest and marsh in teal that are the areas that they propose to excavate for hydrological connectivity. So the proposed project is allowable within the general use district, and it will not affect the preservation district designation, as the area will still be part of the Deer Island Coastal Preserve. The applicant is requesting variances to the Mississippi Coastal Program, Chapter 8, Section 114, for the filling of coastal wetlands and sensitive coastal wetlands. The applicant has justified these variances as the impacts would be no worse than if the requirements were followed. The conversion of unvegetated water bottoms to productive habitats and thin layer placement of dredge material within the restored marshes will provide stability to Deer Island, provide habitat for wildlife, including numerous migratory birds and threatened and endangered species, and it will provide additional storm damage reduction benefits to the Mississippi mainland. This project was published in the Sun Herald on March 16th, 2025, and the public notice was available on DMR's website from March 12th through April 1st, 2025. We received no public comments, and no comments were received by the Department of Environmental Quality. Department of Archives and History stated no objections. The Secretary of State Office supports concurrence with the Mississippi Coastal Program. And our coastal resource management staff have been involved in the planning discussions for this project, and they have no objections. So after evaluating the project with our decision factors, the project would serve a higher public purpose by enhancing coastal wetlands, which provide habitat for species of recreational and commercial importance, provide a location for the placement of dredge material, and storm damage reduction benefits. Therefore, the staff requests that the Commission recommend to the Executive Director to approve the requested variances and find the project consistent with the Mississippi Coastal Program. Any questions about the project?
I feel like we watch these these points of our barrier islands fade away so quick, so it's a constant rebuild process. But I don't have any questions. I appreciate the information. Commissioners, do you have anything?
The only one I have doesn't pertain to this, but didn't we approve a restoration for Cat Island about a year ago or something on that southeast side? Yeah,
We approved a
right there at Smuggler's
Jennifer?
Cove.
Jennifer, we were
Yeah,
working on the
Jennifer's
southeast.
got an
of
I'm
it,
answer?
sorry, I
and
didn't mean to derail your.
Person who can answer it, come up.
Yes.
Where's my sand at?
The core permit has just recently been signed, and everything has taken place with that. The project is going through the Department of Environmental Quality, so DMR is not handling everything associated with that. In fact, Jared can probably shed some more light on it if you have some more detailed questions.
But it is something that's still being looked at.
Yes,
and
sir.
ongoing. Okay. I was just curious. That made me think about it.
Oh, didn't we engage for design to continue with design? Was that I think.
So I think when
last
everything was permitted, it was a 30% design, because that's all that's required, and then we were going to proceed forward with final design.
individual projects.
Okay. Thank
Hey,
you.
Jennifer, are we still working with the, I think Park Service and all to be able to swap some land on Cat Island? Is that still working?
I believe the Secretary of State's office was having some conversations with the Park Service about a potential land swap of the south spit and some of the central portions of the island, so that the state property would be contiguous, And same for the Park Service property. I'm not sure where those conversations are. DMR's not been really involved in it. Again, it's the Secretary of State as the land commissioner, since the state holds the deed to the property.
All right. Back to Deer Island. Sorry.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the requested variances and approve the consistency certification as requested.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Miss Katie, East Beach.
All right. So, good morning, everyone, commissioners and director. This presentation includes an application for a certificate of waiver by the City of Ocean Springs. The proposed project is located on East Beach Drive, starting near Weeks Bayou and extending to Halstead Road on Davis Bayou, Ocean Springs, in Jackson County. The project is located within the General Use District. The agent assisting the city was Neil Schaefer, and the purpose and need for the project is to provide a safe route for pedestrians to travel while enjoying Davis Bayou or the beach. The city is requesting to fill coastal wetlands above mean high tide on existing sand beach for the construction of a concrete pedestrian pathway proposed to be 5,730 feet by 10 feet. This project also includes the placement of trash receptacles, removal of existing wooden steps, relocation of existing signs and posts, and replacement of selected outfall pipes. The pathway elevation will not exceed existing sand beach elevation. And the sidewalk will tie into the seawall. Here is the project location on East Beach in Ocean Springs. The pathway will begin at Weeks Bayou and extend to Halstead Road. And the proposed pathway will be south of the seawall and guardrail. Notification of the project ran in the Sun Herald on April 28th, 2024. Notification was also posted on our website from April 25th to May 28th of 2024. And due to the number of comments our public notice received, we held a public hearing on June 12th, 2024. So in an effort to simplify the recitation of the comments received from the public notice and the public hearing, the following comments and concerns and responses have been summarized from their original submission. Full text public comments and responses were made available to the commissioners and director on our commission portal. Okay. The first concern, would the sidewalk bring more people and cars into the area? The agent has responded, it is not expected that construction of a sidewalk would increase the amount of people in the area. The sidewalk will give people that already frequent the area a place to walk. Will there be more trash, debris, or sand after storms, or because of increased foot traffic? And who will clean up the trash? The agent has stated, the proposed pathway is not expected to promote additional trash or debris or sand from storm events. The City of Ocean Springs will maintain the pathway, and Jackson County will maintain the beach. Additionally, trash receptacles will be placed as part of the proposed project. The trash cans will also be maintained by the city. Would there be additional standing water, storm runoff, and or increased flooding conditions? According to the agent, the pathway is designed to drain water from the roadway towards the beach and should not increase the potential for flooding or standing water in the surrounding areas. There is also concern about the sheer water bridge supporting the heavy the weight of the heavy equipment. From the agent stated, bridges are routinely inspected by Jackson County. The bridge should experience no more load excess than what it has historically experienced. What are potential impacts during construction to areas surrounding the construction site? The agent has stated workers and/or the contractor should maintain the construction site during construction, and best management practices will be used to limit potential impacts to surrounding wetland habitats. What types of equipment will be used on site, and is the equipment routinely inspected? The agent's response is small excavators, dump trucks, and concrete trucks. And they also stated that the contractor will be responsible for maintaining that equipment. What is the full extent of the project, and will there be any future impacts, such as parking or bathrooms? And at this time, no further impacts are proposed. Should future projects be proposed to impact wetlands, notice should be given to wetlands permitting to determine if a certification is necessary. Will there be any additional fill needed to meet proposed grades for the sidewalk? From the agent's response, some areas of additional fill are proposed in locations where the existing sand is below the top of the seawall. The proposed improvements would place the pathway at a comparable elevation to the south edge of the top of the seawall, with structural fill material to be placed to support the pathway. Sand from the excavation area, as well as imported sand as deemed necessary, would be provided adjacent to the south edge of the pathway to transition elevations back to the existing beach grade. What impact would sea level rise have on this project? Based on information gathered by the agent, any impacts from sea level rise will be at the eastern portion of the pathway where relocated sand will be placed. Number 10, concerns about property ownership on the beach. And from the Secretary of State's office, this is state-owned public trust tidelands that the state of Mississippi manages in accordance with the Tidelands Act. The owners of the uplands possess littoral privileges of access to the tidelands as part of their property ownership. The sidewalk will facilitate greater public access to and enjoyment of the state's tidelands and submerged lands. It therefore serves a higher public purpose consistent with the Tidelands Act. Further, it does not appear that the sidewalk will deny access to tidelands by the upland property owners. Potential alternatives to answer the safety concern of the proposed sidewalk. Reducing speed enforcement, adding share the road signage, speed bumps, widening or striping the road, adding more stop signs, constructing the road to a one-way single lane, in the other lane for pedestrians, adding blind spot traffic mirrors, increasing street lighting, and robust protective structures. Speaking about the reducing speed, the agent says the Federal Highway Administration studies have shown that reducing speed limits on roadways is an effective way of reducing fatalities and injuries. Further studies by MDOT could be performed to evaluate the benefits of lowering the speed limits in the area. The other safety concerns, the agent says that the Federal Highway Administration and USDOT recommend that transportation agencies should work towards incorporating pedestrian facilities into all roadway projects. The Federal Highway notes that the presence of sidewalks reduces crash risk significantly. MDOT recommends providing sidewalks where pedestrian traffic currently exists or is expected. MDOT also recommends that roadways leading to schools or libraries have accessible sidewalks, which in the USM campus right at Halstead. Additional signage, speed bumps, striping, Stop signs and lighting are all viable options to improve the safety of the roadway, but none of these alternatives will provide a safe walking path for pedestrians. A widened shoulder along the north side of the road was considered, but ultimately decided against due to concerns that it would be utilized for parking and might impact the existing drainage system. Per federal highways, one-way street conversions would reduce pedestrian crashes, but it might cause other problems for commuters, confusion for non-local residents, and potentially result in higher traffic speeds in the area. One-way streets could also cause longer response times for first responders. Federal Highways recommends one-way streets in downtowns or heavily congested areas, but the application on East Beach Drive may not be necessary. Could the existing permit that expires in November 2025 be modified to include additional impacts? The wetlands permitting staff prefers a new complete application since the processing and evaluation is the same for any expansion of impacts, and new application for the entire proposed project makes it easier and clearer for everyone to understand. Potential viable construction alternatives. What about constructing a sidewalk on the right-of-way or city easement? The agent stated this alternative was not considered due to MDOT minimum design standards and public input. Suggested constructing a narrower sidewalk than the 10 feet that they're requesting. The agent stated existing approval is for 6.5 feet in width. However, Federal Highways recommends a 10 feet width for a 2-dimensional shared use path. Alternatives like renourishing the beach to 100 feet allotted and then constructing the pathway. The agent stated it is up to Jackson County to renourish the beaches on their schedule based on needs and funding availability. Commenters suggested to use front beach for walking instead of adding sidewalk to East Beach. And it is not up to DMR to determine what beaches need sidewalks over others. Wetlands permitting is tasked with analyzing the environmental impacts for submitted projects by applicants. Number 15, what is the percentage of East Beach that will be taken up by the sidewalk? And information provided by the agent. The existing beach south of the seawall occupies 76,330 square yards. The proposed pathway would occupy only 7,330 square yards. So we did our own calculation. It's approximately 9% of the sidewalk would take up the existing beach. Number 16, there are concerns about safety, including accidents recorded and how many people will use the pathway. Based on information provided by the agent, a countywide bicycle, pedestrian, and trails master plan was developed in coordination with local officials, residents, and stakeholders. This pathway project is a component of that master plan study. The agent also stated that U.S. DOT's National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration provided a report in 2022 that documented pedestrian injuries and fatalities over a 10-year period and found that on average, a pedestrian is killed every 81 minutes in a traffic crash. This report also found that Mississippi has one of the highest rates of pedestrian fatalities per 100,000 population. And these numbers are for the whole state, not just Ocean Springs specifically. Number 17, are pedestrians using the beach to walk? There have been observations made by the agents and applicants that show that the beach and roadway are being used by pedestrians. Number 18, will the pathway improve traffic flow? The agent stated the project will allow pedestrians and cyclists a means of travel without using the roadway. There's concern about the city attracting people to East Beach, and is the city trying to damage marsh and encourage erosion? The response by the agent says that the city's pathway project is to provide safer conditions for the pedestrians currently traveling along East Beach. No other amenities or increased parking areas are being proposed that would attract people to East Beach. No tidal marsh will be impacted by the proposed project, and erosion from the existing conditions will not be worsened. Upcoming beach renourishment projects by Jackson County will serve to further protect against erosion. What avenues for public input were presented? From the agent, in January and February 2010, a previous iteration of this project was presented to DMR, which provided opportunity for public input and a public hearing. In 2017 and 18, the public was invited to provide input on Jackson County's bicycle, pedestrian, and trails master plan throughout its development, including public workshops in each city and Jackson County, including Ocean Springs. Online surveys were also available to the public to provide input on this master plan. And DMR has statutory requirements for public notice and hearings for the proposed projects. Initial notices were provided to the public and adjacent property owners around April 28th of 2024, and commenters were given 30 days to provide comments. Because so many comments were received, a public hearing was held June 12th, 2024. All parties who submitted comments on the application and adjacent property owners were notified that the project will be on the agenda for the April 15th, 2025 commission meeting. I did receive a response to my email notification of the commission meeting that expressed concern for an active great horned owl nest at the mouth of Weeks Bayou and how the construction might impact the chicks. While great horned owls are not threatened or endangered species on the coast, they are protected under the Migratory Bird Act. And by the time construction begins on the pathway, we expect the chicks to be old enough to fly should any disturbance occur in close proximity to the nest. Number 21, has the city met the burden of demonstrating the higher public interest in altering coastal wetlands? The city has demonstrated a higher public purpose by providing evidence that the project will increase public safety for pedestrian traffic and increase recreational opportunities in an area of coastal wetlands that has been previously altered from its natural state. There are concerns about responsibility of maintaining the pathway and county acknowledgement of the pathway construction. As stated in previous answers, the city will maintain the pathway. Jackson County will maintain the sand beach as they have previously. DMR received a letter dated October 1st, 2024 from the county stating that they have no objection on the project. And will maintenance crews add more traffic to the already narrow East Beach Drive? The agent stated, it is not anticipated that the construction crews will add any traffic to East Beach. Number 24, how might the pathway affect wildlife access to the beach during construction and once construction is completed? The agent stated, since the area is already disturbed by homes, pools, roadways, racking of the sand, etc., it is not expected that the sidewalk will cause any additional disturbance. Number 25, is the estuarine and marine wetland habitat a protected resource? Is East Beach a natural beach? Will the project impact the beach's natural state and resources and the ecological balance of the area? Yes, the sand beach and waterways south of the seawall are public trust tidelands and therefore coastal wetlands, according to the Mississippi Secretary of State's office, and therefore managed by therefore managed in accordance with the Tidelands Act. While the beach is man-made and regularly maintained, DMR is tasked with regulating activities such as this proposed pathway in coastal wetlands. This project is not expected to impact existing sand beach any more than what has previously been disturbed. Will the project have a detrimental impact on nature and the beach environment? Will fill impact wetland vegetation along the shoreline? And will any additional runoff affect natural habitats such as marsh grasses? The agent responded, the sand beach is already routinely disturbed, so it is expected that the sidewalk will not cause any more disturbance than other impacts in the area. Runoff from the sidewalk will be to the sand beach and will infiltrate within a few feet of the impervious surface. It is not likely that surface runoff will reach the water's edge or any vegetation that is at least 70 to 90 feet away. There is also concern about potential commercialization impacts, reducing number of birds, and impacting the biodiversity and pathway, affecting endangered bird species that use the area. The only impact proposed in this project is a pedestrian pathway. No additional impacts are proposed. Should additional impacts to the area be proposed in the future, an application should be submitted to wetlands permitting for review. The project is not expected to adversely impact wildlife presence or diversity. And from the agent, many of the bird species, both endangered and not, found on the Mississippi coast forage either in the water or close to the water's edge within the rack lines of debris washed on the shore. Since the sidewalk is proposed to be constructed along the seawall, any construction would be a significant distance away from the shoreline. The distance from the seawall to the shoreline does vary in length, but there should be enough distance between construction and any foraging birds that disturbance would be minimal. Concerned that the beach is not 100 feet wide from seawall to shoreline. Jackson County's beach renourishment permit allows for up to 100 feet south of the seawall for placement of renourishment materials. It is up to scheduling and funding availability for Jackson County to fill sand all the way out to their limit of 100 feet. Last one. Comment on DMR guideline for beaches, which state that permanent structures should not be built on the open beach except for facilities such as piers, public restrooms, and lifeguard stations. This comment is concerning the guidelines for the preservation of natural scenic qualities in the Mississippi Coastal Program. The department considers a proposed project's potential impacts to natural scenic qualities when evaluating an application. The coastal program states that private parties and local governments are encouraged but not required to consider guidelines in Section 10 when planning projects involving regulated activities. Within the guideline, the examples of permanent structures given are those that contribute to accessibility and comfort for those members of the public who visit the beaches, as this proposed pathway is expected to. For agency comments, DEQ submitted no comments. The Mississippi Department of Archives and History submitted comments and has requested that the following condition be included if the project is approved. A context study to be completed by the City of Ocean Springs in accordance with MDAH responsibilities as a coastal program agency. The Secretary of State responded by saying that an amendment to the City of Ocean Springs rent exempt public trust tidelands lease will be required. No comments were submitted from Mississippi Wildlife Fisheries and Parks or Fisheries. After a thorough evaluation of the project based on decision factors in our Mississippi Coastal Program, it has been determined that the project would serve a higher public interest by providing a safe area for pedestrians to travel and increasing public recreational opportunities. Therefore, the staff requests a motion that the commission recommend to the executive director to approve the certificate of waiver and condition the waiver to contain the following: a context study to be completed by the City of Ocean Springs in accordance with MDAH responsibilities as a coastal program. And do you guys have any questions? That was quite a lot.
Go ahead, Commissioner Osborne.
So I'm not very familiar with this area, but as I'm looking at the map, is there any parking on either end of that sidewalk?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't think there's any official parking.
Let me make everybody just one moment. We let Miss Katie speak because we're having to record this, and the recording does not work correctly when we have background noise. So just one at a time, please.
Okay. So we're going to let the city address any parking, any existing parking. So Lisa Morrison from Neil Schaefer.
Hi, there is parking at the west end where the road is wide enough. It's parking on the west end where the road is wide enough for 2 lanes plus a parking lane. I'm not sure how many spaces are available, 10, 12 or so. And then I've seen people parking at the east end, right where before you go into the USM, the research lab, there's some gravel, a gravel area there where I've seen people parking. So
That's not like official parking, or that's just
it's
like,
not, there's no signs at the west end. There's no signs on the east end, on the east end. There's no signs on the west end, but, I know that the city will give you a ticket if you park facing the wrong way. So there are some, it is maybe official city parking on the west end.
I guess I'm just struggling trying to figure out why we're putting a sidewalk in that spot. I mean, if there's no parking, we're creating more. I mean, if people are using parking on the side of the road, I mean, that seems to be congested area. So
Has this context study, has that been completed?
We got comments from people too.
Yeah, we have multiple comments. So if we don't have any more questions from Miss Lisa with Neil Schaefer, I'd like to move on to these public
well,
comments.
actually, just one more. If the context study has not been completed, how long would it take to complete a context study?
We're in the process right now of getting a cost estimate to do that. I think they take at least a month, maybe longer.
Okay.
You know, there seems to be a lot of interest in this, and it's got me to thinking about our boardwalk that we did in Pass Christian, and the city was really divided on that. And while I think it was a great project and it's very beneficial, it was very divisive in our city. If we don't have everything completed, I mean, personally, I'd like to table it and get everything in and hear all of it. I think this is the first time we've heard anything about it, correct?
Okay.
That's right, Commissioner Daniels. All right, well, let's move through the public comments, get through these, and then we can bring that for discussion here in a moment. First public comment I have is Darylus Alford. If you'd like to come up and state your full name and city, And you have 3 minutes, and we have a ton. So please, I just ask everybody to be respectful of the 3 minutes.
My name is Dr. Darlis Alford. I live on the beach at Seaside Drive. I would like to say that I've lived near the beach or on the beach since 2003. So, and during that time, I walk almost every day along that path. It's a very narrow road, and when someone is walking, even on just one side, traffic has to stop because there's not enough room for 2 cars and a person on that road. Now, that's very difficult because cars are looking at each other trying to decide when it's okay to get around the person. And being the person, it is sometimes absolutely terrifying what the traffic is doing. I've been almost hit twice, once by very large pickup truck that had extended mirrors, and the mirror almost hit me in the face. I had to jump over and land in the sand in order to avoid being hit. And in another situation, there were teenagers playing chicken with me, and I had to step off of the road to avoid being hit by this car. It is not a safe place to walk. I also take care of a very small child, and with that child in the push cart, it's terrifying to have traffic, even if it's just one lane. Someone stopped on my side. The sound and the involvement of having a very small child is very frightening. There are children, small children, riding bicycles on that road. It needs to be safe for children to participate in walking carefully. Now, you ask if we can all do this on the beach, the sand? No, we can't just do it on the sand. I'm 76 years old. I have trouble with my feet, and walking in the sand is not an option. Children riding bicycles, that's very dangerous because you can't predict that they're always going to be able to ride straight. So very quickly they can turn, and even if traffic is stopped, it's still dangerous. We need some kind of safe walking on the beach.
Thank you for your personal experiences there, Ms. Alford. Appreciate that. All right, Mr. Kenneth Grew. Please just state your name and city and state, please, sir.
Excuse me. My name's Ken Grew. I live across the street from Darlis. And I moved to the area. One of the things I love best is that I'm a birder. I'm an avid birder. I do a lot of volunteer work with the Audubon Society. 15 times a year, we do bird surveys on East Beach along that road. Also, I do a lot of bird photography. I was amused about the question about the great horned owls on Weeks Bayou. I've been taking pictures of the birds. You may have seen pictures that I took on Facebook about those. We don't have to worry about those anymore. The last one left at 6:12 Saturday morning. They're gone. They're finished and they're gone. Anyway, I love the beach. I'm observing wildlife all the time on the beach. But here's the thing. I agree with the agent when he says that if you take up all you're going to do is take up another 10 feet of the beach. The birds don't live on the beach, on the sand. You're only going to see the birds are on the shoreline. They're on the part of the beach that has vegetation along the beach, and as far as the rest of the beach is just something that birds have to fly over to get to where they want to be. And to me, it is a safety issue also. And a lot of people think that they're safe walking on the beach. Let me tell you, they're missing a piece of information that they don't have. One of those, and for one thing, that they don't know that I'm driving on the beach. Here's the deal: if I'm riding on a beach and if you see an osprey fly over, all bets are off, because there's no telling what I'd hit if that happens. It's just, and there's lots of distractions on the beach. I don't know if y'all know this, but every now and then on the west end down there by Weeks Bayou, there's young women in bikinis. Now, talk about a distraction. I know that nobody here would get distracted, but it's a safety issue. Every day, everybody driving down the beach has to be paying attention to a lot of stuff. And things can go wrong. And so that's my 2 cents worth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grew. All right, next up we have Andrew and Catherine.
Kind of unbelievable. I followed her talks in June, so I feel like I'm at a disadvantage.
Please state your name and.
I'm Andrew
city.
Marsh. I live on East Beach, directly on the beach, on the eastern portion of the beach. I think that everybody in this building and the established women and gentlemen in the committee agree that safety is the most important thing. Looking at osprey, looking at horned owls, looking at bobcats that I've seen, looking at raccoons, that will obviously keep you from doing wise decisions. But the truth is that putting a man-made structure on a beach is going to attract humans and increase human traffic. And the only way you're going to increase human traffic nowadays is through the use of vehicles, either motorcycles, cars, trucks, whatever. So the esteemed agent can tell you all the studies he wants, but putting a sidewalk there is going to increase traffic, which is going to decrease safety. I'm an emergency room doctor. I'm the one who gets sent all these people, okay? Matter of fact, one of my neighbor's kids was just struck by an off-duty police officer using a telephone accidentally. That's not going to change anything, okay? The reality of this is that you put there, the reason that we all love Ocean Springs is because of its natural beauty, man-made or otherwise. The beach is man-made, but you know what? A lot of osprey, a lot of eagles flock there because it's beautiful. A lot of humans flock there because it's beautiful. You're going to change that tenor by putting a sidewalk there. Now, let's look at the issues. We were talking about safety. If you really want safety, I can tell you if you put speed bumps there, you will slow down traffic, no matter how much traffic increases. There's an access road north of the railroad, and anybody who's from Ocean Springs knows that that gutter, it's not even a speed bump, it's a hole, stops traffic, because if it doesn't stop traffic, you're going to lose your axle. So speed bumps are probably the most effective way of slowing down traffic and increasing safety along East Beach. If you really want to put a sidewalk, a man-made structure, I think the Dole Act instructed that cities are mandated to put sidewalks to increase access to veterans, such as Senator Dole himself. May he rest in peace. That is a sidewalk that should be on the north side of the road. Why are we talking about putting it on the beach? That should be on the north side. That increases, and this is my property I'm talking about. That's going to increase access to everybody, including our veterans, wounded veterans, so that they can have safety and access to the beach. So, and again, I'm going to reiterate, putting a sidewalk where you have proposed to put it is only going to increase traffic, and that is not mitigating the safety issues whatsoever. Speed bumps mitigate that. I can tell you that water running off of a sidewalk will destroy sand beaches. I don't care what they say, because it increases the velocity of water, and if you know anything about hydro, physics, it's impossible to say otherwise. And I can't believe they're saying this is not going to increase erosion.
Thank
The
you,
learned
sir.
gentleman on the west side, he can explain, because his property has a lot of erosion in front. So anyway, safety and traffic issues are the real issues that should be discussed here.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Papania? Please just state your full name and city.
Kenneth A. Papania, Ocean Springs. General Spraggins, Commissioners, thanks for your time. Miss Katie has pretty well covered everything I wanted to say. Great study. Thank you, ma'am, for doing that. I'm available. Let me back up. I'm Alderman Ward 4. I've run 2 times. Both times I got over 60% of the city's vote, citizens vote in Ward 4. So I feel like that I'm here representing the majority of the citizens who are obviously average citizens. They're working. Mother and dad's working today. They can't be here. My campaign when I ran, the platform is, and still is, a safe East Beach, a sidewalk on East Beach. And that's my campaign. That's the reason I'm still here representing the citizens. I'll digress just for a second. One of you gentlemen brought up the idea of parking on East Beach. This is a residential area. This is a residential sidewalk. We're not doing anything to attract other citizens. Sure, more folks will come there, but this is a residential sidewalk for the citizens in Ward 4. Put that in your context, please. We've been working on this sidewalk for 17 years. 17 years. I hear some new, every time I go to one of these meetings, I can't tell you how many meetings I have been to. Comments, 100 pages of different things. We had it done one time, and because of injunctions and lawsuits by lawyers, we lost the money, we lost the sidewalk. Finally went through the whole system with the state of Mississippi, finally agreed that it belongs to the citizens of Ocean Springs and the state. We started all over again. Here we are today. We've got the money. Last time we lost the money. This time we've got the money sitting there ready to go. We've got the engineering design. Neil Schaefer just explained that to you. I don't know what else we do. I'm just hoping that you gentlemen, instead of kicking it down the road, let's make a decision, yes or no, and move forward. There'll be folks here that will probably have other points of view, but we're responsible in Ocean Springs for the well-being and the pleasure of the people. When I say that, people enjoy walking for exercise. That's the reason we have sidewalks. That's all we want to do. We're not looking to attract anybody, any extra people. We passed an ordinance that limits all commercial development on East Beach commercial activities. Trying to think of what else to share with y'all. And I'm open to any questions you have. But as again, I say that please go ahead and make your decision and let's be done with it.
Thank you for your comments,
Questions?
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shannon Pfeiffer. Full name and city, please.
I'm Shannon Grace Pfeiffer, Ocean Springs resident and Ward 4 Alderman-elect. And I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to speak today as well. I strongly oppose the East Beach Pathway project, especially if it's going to be constructed on the sand. My primary concern is the structural feasibility of connecting a 10-foot wide concrete walkway to the existing roadway and seawall. This plan would require an expansion joint between the new walkway and the existing infrastructure. However, no joint or sealant will effectively prevent water from intruding and eroding the sand beach between both surfaces. The result would be inevitable washout and long-term instability, especially during high tide and storm events. I'd submitted photos. Here they are. These were taken last week during a typical routine rain event, and they clearly show the existing washout beneath the seawall, which is already struggling to maintain integrity. The distance from the seawall to the high tide water line is only 25 feet. So if you're talking about a 10-foot path in these areas, that's not leaving very much beach. That limited space should raise serious concerns about placing heavy infrastructure on such a vulnerable area. In addition to these technical concerns, I respectfully request that no final decisions or permitting actions be taken on this project until the new city administration takes office on July 1. It's a mere 75 days. With the new mayor and new board of aldermen preparing to serve, it's only appropriate that this incoming leadership be given the opportunity to fully evaluate the long-term impacts and community concerns associated with the project, which now includes a context study. Thank you for your time.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
So that's right there on East Beach Drive?
Correct.
So that tree right there is,
The only tree we have left.
all right. And that looks to be within 10 feet.
Correct.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Jim Reeves, I believe I saw him. Is he? Oh, here he is. Okay.
Procedural point initially. Thank y'all for hearing this.
State your full name and city, please, sir.
Jim Reeves, Ocean Springs.
Thank you.
And I only speak on behalf of myself, but I represent a number of East Beach property owners. I'm speaking for them as well. I want to make a procedural point. There was a previous hearing. I have a transcript. I think I have submitted that to be part of the record. It is important that it be submitted. I have a copy here, or I can supply a copy. There are a lot of comments made that weren't addressed in the initial presentation that I think are very important. I don't have time to go through them all here, but I think it's important for you to consider. If you think we've seen this movie before and know how it ends, we have, because Mr. Papania and the others who were just voted out overwhelmingly, largely based on this issue and other overdevelopment issues, made the same pitch to DMR almost 20 years ago to do it on Front Beach and East Beach. Lucky for East Beachers, Mr. Buddy Gunn and Mr. Neil Harris resisted East Beach development of the sidewalk, and we have East Beach. We know how it ends, though. This is what a pristine beach looks like today on Front Beach. When you put a sidewalk over a sand beach that goes underwater multiple times a year, one of the most desired properties looks absolutely awful. Not by accident, not because of a catastrophe. Millions of dollars to do it. They're continuing to spend millions of dollars to try to maintain it. This is what East Beach will look like. Sorry. This is what it will look like. How do we know? That's about 300, 400 yards east of where they want to put the sidewalk now. Why would anybody want to put more cement sidewalk on a beach and a lot of that? Makes no sense. Sure. That's our beach. Thanks to these guys. But they were voted out. And that's a reason for that. And so the request by the incoming council, alderman and mayor, to postpone this at a minimum, if not deny it outright, is legitimate. This has not been studied, has not been considered. The sole purported reason for this is safety. What you didn't hear from anybody is this. This road, this beach has been there for at least 50, maybe 70 years. We challenged the city. Has there been a single incident where someone was hit or hurt? Reported incident. One incident of a close call 25 years ago. I submit to you that the public interest is not in having a walkway here. It's not unsafe to begin with. Statistically speaking, it may be safer than any street in the city. They've submitted no proposals or studies to show that this sidewalk will make this area safer. Just conjecture, just guess, just like they did with Front Beach.
Mr. Reeves, thank you for your comments.
Yeah, I speak for four people. If I could quickly finish up, I'll do so.
Yes,
It's a very important issue, and I'd appreciate that. I want to make sure another thing is clear, because there's a representation initially about the width of this beach. And I made a note of it. There was a representation, and it's in the application at page 4. There are 2 endangered species of bird that feed and nest on East Beach, a piping plover and a red knot. And they represent in the application at page 4 that there's 100 feet of beach between the sidewalk and the water's edge, so it will not affect this bird in its nesting or feeding. That is demonstrably false. I'm going to show you photographs that are previously put in the record. This is a section of East Beach in front of 415 East Beach Drive. At low tide, you can see where the high tide is. The walkway they're wanting to build, it's a pathway, not a walkway, is 10 feet off of here. At high tide, it may be underwater in some high tides now. It's 30 feet of total beach here. There's no beach left. So it's a complete misrepresentation in the application when they tell you that there's plenty of room for these birds to nest and feed. There's 100 feet between the water line and the walkway. That's demonstrably untrue. And you can see the rest of the beach back here. It juts out and it goes back in. Very few spots west of Holcomb have more than 60 or 70 feet of beach. And according to NOAA, 2 studies I put in the record, Northern Gulf waters are rising. And this under those studies, this sidewalk will be permanently underwater in just a few years. Everybody needs to take a deep breath. This application be rejected. The new administration should have a chance to weigh in on it. I have a petition with 200 people opposed to this. It's not popular in the community, and the new administration should be able to address that. At a minimum, really it should be denied outright, because there's been no studies, no evidence to meet their burden of proof that this is needed or that it outweighs the impact to the beach. And I'll answer any questions that I can.
Commissioner Oswald.
Can you bring up that last picture that you just showed? So are you saying that the sidewalk is not going to tie into the road? There's going to be a gap between the road and the sidewalk?
Basically, the sidewalk is going to be adjacent to this place.
It's going to tie into that rail and then come out.
It's going to come out
Right.
10 feet.
Gotcha.
Represented in the application, there's 100 feet of beach measurement at low tide. You see where it's high tide.
Right. But then to tie that sidewalk into that beach wall, there's got to be a joint, right? And that's what.
Absolutely. That's the
Right.
problem with it, right?
Yeah.
None of that's been studied. None.
Director?
Yeah, and just for the correct thing on this, so I realize there's only 30 feet there, but the county can go to 100. They could expand that back to 100 feet if they wanted to. So I don't want it to be misrepresented. That's the only
Oh,
thing.
no, I'm not going to address that too, because I spoke with the county. There's nothing in the current budget to fortify this beach.
I understand that. I'm just saying it could be though. Of course, the Corps of Engineers gives you 100 feet to
They
go
could
out.
do it.
Okay.
There's no commitment that they'll ever do it. I agree. Thank you.
More questions? Okay, thank you. Karen Stennis? Please state your name and city, please.
I'm Karen Stennis, Ocean Springs, and I'm Alderman-elect for Ward 2, which I have the western part of East Beach as part of my ward. And I'm going to make this very short and sweet because the previous two people have pretty much said everything I needed to say. But I would just please beg you to delay this for the new board to deal with, because we have just a little bit left, 2.5 months, and then we'll be dealing with whatever might come in the next 2.5 months. And we would prefer to be able to deal with the whole situation. My concern is erosion, definitely. And I'll say this, just coming off the campaign trail, going door to door, talking to residents, most of them do not want this on the beach. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stennis. William Thompson?
How are y'all doing? Thank you
Will.
for having me.
Will.
My name is Will Thompson. I live off Holcomb in Ocean Springs, and I'm asking that y'all deny this application. I went to grad school at the research lab, live off Holcomb, recreate on the beach all the time. I have never felt unsafe. I used to ride my bike all the way to the research lab every day. I've never experienced any sort of safety issue. And just for the sake of time, basically y'all saw the pictures after it rains, the amount of floodwaters, the erosion that happens. To build a sidewalk over sand is a waste of taxpayer money. It's something the residents don't want. It is extremely unpopular. And all you have to do is look at Front Beach and see it's a constant state of construction. There's a lack of access due to the construction, and we don't want that. We don't want that on East Beach. And there's other acceptable alternatives. I know that safety has been an issue for some people. There are things called a Moby mat. It's like a wheelchair accessible walkway that they have in, Gulf Shore, Sarasota. A lot of beach communities have that don't require this massive concrete construction. So just that being said, there's alternatives that have not been discussed and weren't a part of this process. So I ask that you, at the minimum, table this for the new administration, or just go ahead and deny it in whole, because it's not needed. It's going to cost the taxpayers a ton of money. It's going to affect access, and it's going to negatively impact the environment with erosion and potentially impact endangered species. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Next up is Orrin. There he is. Orrin, when you come up, please state your full name and city.
Orrin Zweig, Ocean Springs. I live off Holcomb, a couple blocks away from the beach. I think everybody said it pretty eloquently. Safety concerns is an issue. I have a small business in the area, and I speak with a lot of people in that area. So I see both sides of this argument. But we really have to think about this. Papania said that you guys need to make a decision today, and I think if you do, it should be to reject this, because there's just so much that can be seen. People are talking about north side sidewalk. That's something that can be discussed and looked at further. But to approve this today, and it really is a majority of the people in this area, are really against putting this on the sand, and they said it more eloquently than I did. But I just wanted to, add my 2 cents to that. That most of us would approve this today would be a huge mistake, in my opinion. But thank you guys very much. You're going to make people unhappy regardless of what you do. So it's going to be. I'm feeling for you guys.
You said that one best.
Yeah,
for sure.
regardless of what you do, I mean, you're not going to make everybody happy, but
We're well aware.
We appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Orrin. Appreciate you. All right, we have Paul Gunn.
Good morning. My name is Paul Gunn. I am an Ocean Springs resident. I grew up on East Beach all my life until I was married and moved about a mile north of East Beach, but I still frequent East Beach every morning. And I just have a simple question. Bald eagles nest, fish, and live in this area. I see them every morning on my walks along the sand beach, along with blue heron, osprey, and other native migratory birds. That's right, toes in the sand, no concrete needed while enjoying your walk. Let the beach be a beach. The Federal Bald Eagle Act and Migratory Bird Act both protect the habitats of bald eagles from disruption. Permits are required in certain situations where the disruption will take place. Therefore, as my question that I'd like to ask is, have these federal laws been considered? And if so, what was the outcome? Okay. I think after everyone has spoken on the subject, everyone has a voice. It's all important on both sides. And everybody's done a great job on making not only Jackson County, but specifically Ocean Springs a beautiful area, not only to visit, but to live. But I think as we kind of reiterate kind of the ongoing activities on Front Beach, I think we need to focus solving that epic problem, okay? We all know that there's a continuous erosion issue there on Front Beach, and that sidewalk has been a constant work in progress and an eyesore for the city. And as a result, it's become a public nuisance to ongoing walkers on the sidewalk, okay? The city, along with Jackson County, will continue to be what it has always been. It's been basically from the beginnings a natural preservation, okay? So let's continue the life of the natural preservation and habitat of Ocean Springs, and along with Jackson County. And let's allow the nature to continue continue to present its majestic beauty. So therefore, I kindly ask each and one of you to take all facts into consideration. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gunn. Clyde Gunn III.
Morning, folks. I'm Buddy Gunn. I've been here before. I've been a resident of East Beach since 1989. It's about 36 years ago. I've seen what's happened on the beach coming and going. I've traveled and seen that reasonable jurisdictions don't put concrete on top of sand. You won't find any from here east. What your job is to make a recommendation. I understand that. And y'all are serving a good, preparing for making a recommendation, but you haven't been asked to leave your common sense at home. Now, on the presentation, they said, well, this is just going to be a 10-foot sidewalk, and there's not going to be any significant runoff, and that runoff is not going to affect the wildlife in the marshlands. Well, you multiply 10 times 5,730 feet, and you come up with 57,000 square feet, and that's what they're asking to do, is to build the equivalent of a 57,000 square foot concrete foundation out there, just going to spread it out. And that's more than 1.25 acres. There's approximately 44,000 square feet in an acre. and 57,000 square feet, there's certainly going to be runoff from that. And when we have not just high tides, but heavy rains, water pools on the beach. It doesn't filter quickly. So you're going to add to that the runoff from the 10 feet that are going to be slanting toward the marsh grass and affecting the estuary there. And we all know, and you all know a whole lot better than I do, that the estuary is where the shrimp spawn, and that's where they come from. And that's what they're wanting to do, is to mess up what God gave us. You can go anywhere and build a sidewalk, but you can't go anywhere to get the equivalent of the beauty and the nature found on East Beach. But it will disappear with concrete. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gunn. Mr. Mark Garriga. Full name and city, please, sir.
Mark Garriga, Ocean Springs. I live downtown Ocean Springs. I'm like Orrin, where I almost didn't come up because everybody's covered it so well. But downtown, I know they're wanting sidewalks everywhere throughout the city. They're saying they want sidewalks everywhere. Front Beach, bunch of great folks live out there. East Beach, bunch of great folks. East Beach might have the biggest yards in town. So the first lady that spoke, bless her heart, I know her concerns. If she's coming from Surfside, the easiest way would just she'd come straight down from Surfside, and then there'd be if they want to put a sidewalk right there on East Beach, the north side, that would make sense. It'd be safer for the kids not crossing over the 2-lane street. I think they pointed out that there's never been one of those traffic deaths or accidents that we heard happen every 8 seconds. That guy had fun with those answers. Like Warren said, I mean, and then when they mentioned the size of this thing, I can't imagine having 10% of your yard be a sidewalk. And I know that y'all have heard how many people are against it. I've heard it over and over. Warren said, regardless of what y'all are going to do, you're going to have people mad. The only difference is one way you're going to have thousands of people mad, and one way you're going to have like 8 people mad. Hey, so I'd go with that. I'm not going to take much more of your time. I had Mr. Daniels over here when he suggested maybe the difference, the problems they had over there. And then the nice gentleman right here mentioned that the county could make it 100, the beach 100 yards. Well, if anything, let's have the conversation again when the county's made the beach 100 yards. But right now, at the very minimum, I ask that you table it. We've got the whole new, the city's spoken, and they've spoken loudly. And that's why we've got the whole new city government coming in who's against these kind of things. Let's give them the opportunity that the citizens elected them in an overwhelming vote. And so, and please, I really would love for y'all just to deny it altogether, but at the very least, table it until there's more time. Right. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Mark. Go ahead.
I want to clarify that was 100 feet, not 100 yards.
All right. Philip LaPrade. I might have not said that correctly, and I apologize if I did. Say okay. Full name and city, please.
I'm Philip LaPrade, Ocean Springs. So I'm going to appeal just to the technical side of stuff. Dr. Marsh mentioned, physics is involved here. I've got degrees in physics. I've been in engineering for 25 years. So some of the responses sort of generated a little bit of a shift in what I was going to talk about, but they asked about if there's going to be standing water. It's designed to actually flow water off, not to retain water and send it to the beach. Point. Another point was that they said it should not impact the shoreline 70 to 90 feet. Mr. Reeves, he showed pictures of significant beach area that is less than 70, 90 feet. My point is there's never been provided analysis, like watershed analysis, to show flow rate changes. You know, that you're going to give an extra 10 feet of unrestricted flow of water that's designed to flow to the beach. That's going to have higher velocity, less dispersion area. And as we all talked about, we all heard, of course, it's going to bring fresh water to the shoreline, impacting the ecology environment. I mean, so the people applying for this, they have the burden of, the burden of proof. They need to prove we're not going to impact what we're here for at the DMR, the environment, right? So again, that's not been done. I don't feel comfortable knowing that we're going to safety, just aesthetics off the table. What are we going to do to our environment, our natural area, right? Nobody's really proven that. So that we talked about safety. I've got 3 young children, 13 and below. I tell them what to do. I keep them off that road. If they go across that road, they know what to do. They go north to get to the ice cream shops. That's manageable. So I do understand that other people have different scenarios, and that's part of life. But to impact everybody's environment for individual reasons, I'm challenged by that as well. Another comment Mr. Papena made, they've got the money for the project. They don't. They've got $1.1 million. So 5,730 feet, 2,000, about 2,300 cubic yards of concrete, $130 a yard of concrete, just $300,000 alone for concrete alone. You got 4 materials. The tie into the seawall, it's very expensive grout and dowel process. All the materials alone in this, and by the way, in my engineering, we also estimate major capital projects. This is a major project. I had my estimator give me an estimate on this. The materials alone is going to be $800,000. This is not a $1 million project. So what are we going to do when we run out of money? Where's it going to come from? So we're going to have a half a sidewalk. Is it going to be 5 foot wide? Is it going to be 2,000 feet long? I mean, the list goes on. So I appreciate y'all's time. And everybody else has covered a lot of different things here, but there's just, there's no good reason for this sidewalk. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. LaPrade. Jennifer McKinney.
Jennifer McKinney, Ocean Springs. I also live right off of Holcomb. Also have a small child, and we regularly recreation on that area, ride bikes, or walk along the road or in the sand. And so I strongly urge you to oppose this, and not just because of my personal thoughts, but I am a professor at USM at the Long Beach campus and at the Gulf Coast Research Lab, teaching biology, ecology, and oceanography. And so I stand here also on behalf of my students who have voiced their strong opposition. So thank goodness they're not all here, because I know everybody's already heard the words, but many of these students also came, if you recall, to the meeting back in June of last year where they actually did voice their concern. So I had to come again to emphasize and stand in solidarity. And, in addition to just asking you to oppose it or postpone it, not just till the next administration, but until we have a proper environmental impact assessment completed. You've heard from the physics that we need to understand the hydrography and the water velocity, but there's many species that could be affected both on land and in the water. So we need a proper impact statement or impact assessment completed before moving forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Paul Miner. Okay, sir. Next up, we have Annette. And I'm not going to attempt your last name, Miss Annette. I don't want to full name and
Annette Moskowitz.
thank you.
So I live on East Beach. I'm actually right on the beach, more on the western side, and I'm opposed to the is it better? Okay, so Annette Moskowitz. I live on East Beach. I'm right on the water, on the western side, not far off of Sherwood Avenue, and I oppose the project simply because of feasibility. Like, I honestly don't believe that the beach here is wide enough to put in a 10-foot wide sidewalk, because that way it would basically replace the beach with a concrete sidewalk and there will be no sand. They refilled the beach, I think, 2 years ago with a lot of sand, but most of it is gone. Some of the people have already mentioned high tide. High tide goes almost to where the concrete is right now. So the sand will go. We will have no beach left, and it's basically about concrete and flow water and everything else. The other thing we talked about, or everybody else has talked about, is parking. We do have very limited parking. It's a very narrow road. Very limited parking on the west side, maybe up to 10 cars at the most. And we have more and more people coming to this beach over the past couple of years. Everybody parks on the road itself. My driveway is blocked every single day. Now, with having a sidewalk, it will bring more people in, whether we ask for it or not. There's just going to be more people who are going to want to come and walk. Where are they going to park? There's no place, there's no way to widen the road itself to have the people park. So the road will be bogged. It will become a one-way road. And again, it's a safety issue, just like everybody is asking or talking about. So are we basically replacing the beach with a sidewalk? Or are we trying to do look at the environmental impacts? In my opinion, I think it's a very difficult project. Most people oppose it who live there, including me, just by seeing the erosion of the beach. Yeah, sure, it would be nice to have a place to walk, which is not the road, but I don't think it's possible, because it's just the beach is not wide enough to place something like that. So probably more studies would need to be done, I don't know. It's just from a person who lives there and sees the changes every day. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Miss Annette. I want to just in the perspective from my fellow commissioners, but I do have a question. Maybe the lady from Neil Schaefer could answer this, but is the design 100% complete of the sidewalk? Is it? Because I was just from a construction perspective trying to understand if you're basically building a sidewalk on the beach in the tide way, how do you, without building an actual bulkhead to prevent scour or erosion? I mean, it would almost have to be a sheet pile structure, I would think, or close to it. If not, it's just going to be a consistent maintenance nightmare like Front Beach.
I'm sorry, the engineer's not.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Engineer's not here today. He was already out of town. So I don't know the answer to that.
I know we've talked safety, environmental, and I've just had a question on that, because you're in the wave limits of any type of high tidal situation with a serious south wind for scour and erosion. So I was just curious how that was going to be obtained without causing a consistent maintenance situation.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a question for the engineers.
Okay, thank you. Sir, Mr. LaPrade. Sir, okay.
Yeah, I've reviewed the drawings. So the design is actually bottom of concrete with a 3-foot spread footer. 3 foot of below grade. The footer is 3 foot deep and extends up. So as you guys saw from the pictures, that vortex that's going to create on the backside, my opinion, it will undermine that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Osborne.
So I appreciate the opportunity to kind of review this and take kind of the responsibility that we have here pretty seriously. I've spent 35 years of my life working in politics and legislation. I have a big concern about asking for a context study to be done after it's been approved. From the standpoint that I've seen it happen many times that these studies don't get done, and it's already been approved. So from my perspective, I think I'm going to support at least tabling this until the context study is done. I also it sounds like there's a lot of discontent amongst the community, and it sounds like the new city council is going to have, jump right into it. You guys have a lot of responsibility now, and welcome to elected office. So I do hope that this comes back ahead in front of us at a later point, but all these questions are answered. And I've seen it in Waveland where we have the sidewalk, which is a great benefit, and I use that sidewalk quite a bit. But as you go further down towards Silver Slipper, the water comes right up to the sidewalk, and there's no more beach. So what is for you all to look at, what are you going to do with the beach that you're taking away? Are you going to add more to it? Because at this point, as I'm looking at some of these pictures, and I recognize some of them may be old, but right now it doesn't look like you're going to have much beach left. So you should take that into consideration, and I hope you do moving forward. So that's my 2 cents.
I'd like to add a little to that. I think the idea of exploring, if a sidewalk is needed, exploring the possibility of doing it on the north side, it changed my position as well, seeing how little beach there is there and how much is going to be taken over. So I'm with you. I think at this time, where my thinking is I would say we deny the recommendation for now, table this, and let them come back with the rest of the answers.
Real quick, we can't table it, okay? It either has to be denied, accepted, or condition put out. And the condition would have to be something that we say that as to why that it is not going forward right at this point. It cannot just be tabled at this point. Is that right? Am I correct? I think Willa was about to talk to about that, but is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Per state statute, we have to issue, deny, or condition within 90 days of receipt of a complete application. We're actually well past that point, but the city has been requesting extensions until now. So we could table it if the city agrees to another extension for a certain number of days. I think that's up to 90 days.
But we could do a condition.
You could condition.
Study is done, and does the city approve the context study, or we?
Yes, and that's what we were asking for, the archives and history study that has been requested to be a condition. That is only a study, as far as I understand it, of the historical significance of the seawall and how tying directly into the seawall would affect it and whether they need to mitigate for that archaeological significance. I don't know that that's going to address a need for the sidewalk or any of the engineering beyond tying directly into the seawall. If the commissioners want to make sure that a study like that is done, you can definitely condition any approval, if you give it, on that study being completed and showing certain requirements that it meets.
And approved by the city.
Yes.
Have to go to the city council to approve or deny that.
If that's the way you condition it, yes. Yes, sir.
So it's essentially tabling it, but with some conditions.
It would be approving it with some conditions that they would have to meet before they could begin construction. And I'm looking at legal to make sure I'm answering this correctly. That's the way I understand the statute.
So if they want to table it, the city could agree to that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The city can agree
if
to.
If the city does not agree to them tabling it, pending more information, the commission can deny it.
Yes.
The commission can condition it based on a list of things that they want.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, one other concern that I've got is it doesn't feel to me like we're adding a sidewalk to a beach. It feels like we're replacing a beach with a sidewalk. If there's not a plan in place, if there's not a plan in place to renew that beach, to add to that beach, to extend it to where there's actually a beach in front of the sidewalk, I'm against approving it altogether.
Commissioner. Yep. Okay.
I would strongly encourage the board, in light of the incoming new administration, this application has been out there. It is clearly unpopular. Clearly, there are numerous questions, engineering questions, environmental questions that have not been done and cannot reasonably be done in the time frame before this new administration takes place. It can't be done in a reasonable, thorough way, which is what this requires. I would strongly encourage you guys to deny this at this time. The new alderman and administration can resubmit the application, this one identically, this one modified, any way they want or see fit after July 1st. And that would be the most prudent course of action, to deny it at this point. The city has the right to come back, as it always does, reapply once they've done their due diligence. We know how this ends. Again, look at Front Beach. When you do something without studying the ramifications, it's going to end up in a disaster. We've seen this movie before. We would just ask that you deny it at this time. Again, nobody's prejudiced, because they can always come back, submit the application identical or modified. No harm, no foul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I think we, Commissioner Mayfield.
Based on the opposition of the overwhelming citizens of Ocean Springs, I make a motion to deny this project entirely.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Hold on one second.
All right, I want to make one thing clear. First off, Sandy with the others, if they deny this, is it dead at this point to where it cannot proceed at all? Or is it a situation to where the city could come back if they wanted to, even with this administration or the next administration? The point I'm trying to get at, is this going to kill 2 years of work or whatever that amount is, or is it going to say that they can continue, and if the city wanted to look at something, a possibility of moving it to the other side, or if the city wanted to do anything in the world that they wanted to do with it, does this kill it totally or what? That's what I want to know.
The city of Ocean Springs could petition for reconsideration, and they would have to bring forth information that was not previously considered in the commission's recommendation to the executive director. And I believe if anything was going to go on the north side of the road, that is not within coastal wetlands, and that would not be within the purview of the department.
Okay, and if the city wanted to reduce the size of it, would it kill that?
Currently, the city has a permit for a portion of a sidewalk on East Beach that I believe is 6 feet wide. That application, 6.5 feet wide, that application or that authorization is good until I believe November of this year. So hypothetically, that portion of the sidewalk could be constructed.
Okay.
I've gotten verification that that information is all correct.
Thanks for clarification, Director Jennifer. All right, so we had a motion, and I believe we had a second. So all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Was that unanimous? Were there any opposed? Unanimous.
I was making sure that's what thumbs up was for. You're trying to get out of here. We're coming to slip out.
You need protection.
No, this isn't.
All right, Miss.
And I will say that our staff will make sure that the city has the information for the petition for reconsideration process, should they choose to go down that path.
Thank you, Jen. All right, moving on to Miss Leslie Brewer, Finance and Administration.
Well, this is not going to be very exciting after that.
present the financials for the end of March of 2025. And at the end of March, our state revenue was 5.5 million. Our agency revenue was 26.6 million. State net loss of 435,000 and agency net loss of 11.6 million. I just wanted to point out, like I have before, that we don't get our state appropriations until usually around September. So that state number will always go negative. And we just got our Go Mesa funding, so it actually hit the books in April, so that'll flip around to a positive next time. After 9 months of fiscal year 25, our operating funds are at 87.5%, and Tidelands is at 50.5%. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions? I don't think so. Appreciate you. Thank you for the update. Public Affairs, Ms. Charmaine.
Good morning. The Mississippi Department of Marine Resources had 13 media mentions since the March MACMR meeting. News items included the opening date of red snapper season announced, MDMR accepting applications for the aquaculture production training program, and the seafood labeling law passing through the state legislature. Marine Patrol participated in Touch a Truck in Long Beach on March 29th and CASA's Touch a Truck in Hancock County on April 5th. Lieutenant Jeffrey Payne also participated in Education Day with the Biloxi Shuckers on April 9th. In the Office of Coastal Resources Management, Lauren Kegley and Thomas Butera participated in Rocking the Earth Day Fest in Pass Christian on March 22nd. Caitlin Payne and Allison Fager took part in My Two Boots, MSU's wetland experience for Jackson County 6th grade students on April 3rd. Thomas and Caitlin also participated in Nature Fest at the Mississippi Museum of Natural Science on April 5th. Coastal Preserves Director Randy Wilson hosted the FFI Marsh Ecosystem Discussion at the Wachovia Unit for the Hancock County Coastal Preserve on April 11th. Emmett Karstens with the NEAR took part in observer training for the Gulf Coast Phenology Trail, some of which were with a scout group on March 18th, March 22nd, and March 29th. Emmett also took part in Flower Fest for the Walter Anderson Museum of Art on April 12th. The NEAR's Brianna Andrews participated in the Ocean Guardian School program at Woolmarket Elementary School on March 26th, and the On the Road program at Harrison Central Elementary School on March 27th. Marine fisheries scientist Blake Stringfellow gave a fisheries presentation at Van Cleve Lower Elementary School's Spring Fling on April 11th. And the Aquaculture Hatchery participated in the TBF State Tournament held in D'Iberville on March 22nd by assisting in caring for and releasing the fish caught in the tournament. On April 4th, the Aquaculture Hatchery assisted Ocean Springs High School's aquaculture class with a bass release at the shed in Ocean Springs. And on April 7th, the Aquaculture Hatchery assisted the second aquaculture class at Ocean Springs High School with a sea trout release in Graveling Bayou. And the NEAR once again hosted a wonderful Celebrate the Gulf Marine Education Festival held on April 5th, and Aisha will be giving a more in-depth recap of that later this meeting.
Thank you. Thank you for all the pictures this go around. Nice to be able to see it and everything in action. Thank you. All right, moving into other business. It looks like Trevor. Oh wait, we have the I'm sorry, snapper.
That's right. Just another subject to cover today. All right. So real brief. As we discussed the last meeting, the season's going to open up on the Friday Memorial Day. This is consistent with what we've done for the last 7 years. Seems to be working. A lot of the other states have adopted the same opening date. It'll be 2 fish per person with a 16-inch size limit. We'll close that Sunday after July 4th, like we typically do, for evaluation of what we have left in our quota, and see, if we can provide opportunity later on in the season. We're still awaiting for the official letter from NOAA, which we typically get to let us know what our allocation and quota is this year. As it stands, it should be 82,342 pounds. And given consistent participation from previous years, this should yield a longer season than what we've observed in the last 2 years. Obviously, those things are in flux. Effort often tracks with gas prices, other economic considerations, weather, everything else can impact it. So we'll just see what lasts. And just a little bit of background, just so we know where we came from and why we're at 82,000 pounds now. We started out with the EFPs in 2017 with a weight of 137,149 pounds. That was essentially exactly what we called in 17 and we proposed. So the EFPs began in 18 and 19. We got a small bump due to rebuilding that put us at 151,550 pounds. We had the discussions about calibrations, which got pushed through. We had arguments about calibrations. We had a lot of information provided from this agency, work done by the staff in fisheries, by our leadership to push forward with a pathway to get us now to 82,000. And we're undergoing all the changes with MS Krill. We're still doing tails and scales, but simply trying to get more fish in our state to provide what we think is a reasonable opportunity for our anglers to be able to get out. So the staff here have done a lot of work to get us to this number. It's not as much as we want, but it's been a long road to get here, and hopefully we're in a positive direction still.
That 82,000 is definitely a positive direction. Would that be about 25% more than last year? Was that correct?
Yep. Yeah, that's right around 20% more. Yep.
And the good Lord willing, it's going to go up a lot more than that in the next year because, you know, what they are doing is a fantastic job of running a MS Krill right beside the, and once again, tails and scales still there. Okay. And so people don't realize that you still have to file that, you know, because we have to have it. And we did get word yesterday, or day before, I think it was yesterday, that they are going to fund this. The federal government's going to fund that. So we thought at one time the state was going to have to, but it looks like the federal is going to fund the MS Krill as along with the the MREP. Is that right?
Yeah, and just as a credit to my crew, we've essentially been doing both surveys at the same time for the last 4 months, which has been extremely burdensome. It basically doubles the amount of surveys that are worked on the weekend and everything else like that. So staff and Finfish and a couple of others have been really trying to tackle everything we can, and it's put a lot of strain on our other projects and everything else we're getting done. So the approval of the funding that we've been waiting on since October has really helped to this agency and hopefully to the overall process.
Well, I'm glad we're going in this direction and not the other. Sure. Thank you, Trevor, for the update. Appreciate that. Okay, moving down. Looks like we have some other business to tackle today. Some additional public comments. First up, I have an AJ Moody. Is that? Yeah, she.
AJ Moody, Pascagoula, Mississippi, live bait dealer. I'm here mainly to represent Charlie, CC. He was arrested in Bakasat for illegal shrimping. I'm 67 years old. I've been shrimping Bakasat longer than y'all been sitting here. Not trying to be rude, but just telling you facts. We have a short area in Pascagoula to shrimp, to bait shrimp, which is the mouth of the Pascagoula River is where we shrimp from the mouth to the north to CS and Extreme Bridge. In Bakasat, we have 2 sets of beacons outside the mouth from there to the north. Other than that, we have to go outside and deal with the commercial boats. Now, this man's been arrested for shrimping in an area that we've been shrimping in for 50 years. And the man that wrote him a ticket said it's been closed. And I basically want to know, why is it closed? Are we looking at a map that was backdated before my grandfather? You know, where did the closure area come from? Bakasat is called Bakasat Ship Channel. It's not a bayou. The reason it's got that name is because there's a road coming down Chevron that turns off and goes to Bakasat Parkway. That's where that name come from. Bakasat Ship Channel is a navigable channel that they bring ships in to Chevron and turn them around. And now we are finding out it's closed. Well, if it's closed, it's going to kill the live bait industry in Pascagoula. It shut us down. It shut us down now. Nobody in East Pascagoula or all the way to the Louisiana state line has live shrimp right now, because a lot of us catch our bait and sell them to other bait shops. Well, they closed Bakasat. We can't shrimp there no more. And my question to y'all is why? Because we looking at a map that's backdated way before our time and y'all's time, you know. And like I'm telling you, I've been dragging Bakasat for 50 years. But I'm here basically to back up a bait shop that has got a ticket and it's wrong. And we are here to ask y'all to help us get it back open. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moody.
Any questions?
Larry Ryan.
My name's Larry Ryan. I'm from Ocean Springs. Same thing. Bakasat's closed. It looks like it might be a stereotype in the law or the misprint where it doesn't say it's open, but it doesn't say it's closed in the Pacific area. This is half of our shrimping in the winter. We supply between me, AJ, and CC's just about every shop on this coast for live shrimp. To take away half our area, it'd probably take away 75% of our shrimp this year. Most of our shrimp came out of the Bakasat area. Everybody knows it's deeper over there. Biloxi, all these other areas, they dry up, there's no shrimp. We just want to get something put on the agenda for next month to let's get this thing open back up, because it just really looks like a misprint. Because I got into bait business 2 years ago, and I've never even heard this. Even guys in the DMR Marine Patrol, most of us didn't even know it, and we'd been working this thing wide open, and we think it is a misprint, because the only thing shows it's actually closed is the little map, and it shows Bakasat Channel is in the yellow as a, closed for all shrimping, and we're thinking this is kind of just basically a misprint, but we need to come to y'all to get it changed so we don't get no more violations, no more tickets, because right now we all shut down. I haven't had bait in my shop in 3 weeks, shrimp wise, and that's all we're just asking. Thank you.
Okay, Larry. Thank you, man. Charles Williamson. Full name and city, please, sir.
Charles Williamson Jr., Pascagoula, Mississippi. I've had that bait shop, CC's bait shop, for 21 years, and I've shrimped in that bayou there every year. And I've had DMR enforcements board me, look at all my stuff, never say nothing about you in closed waters. I've even had them rode around on my boat and drank coffee while I was catching bait. I just don't understand how out of the blue you could just walk up and say it's closed. I mean, either you're gonna, and I am resentful because I got a ticket that blindsided me, but either you're gonna enforce the laws all the way, or you're gonna pick and choose which laws you enforce and who you enforce them on. I just don't feel like I was done fair on this. No warning. They've seen us shrimping all this time, and it wasn't even a warning. I didn't know it was closed. It don't say in writing Bakasat is open, and it don't say it's closed. You got some map that really, if you look at it real close, it don't even make good sense. And anytime you can drive a 900-foot ship up a bayou, I want to see it, because that's 42 foot deep. I don't know many bayous up and down this Gulf Coast that's 42 foot deep. Now, I understand north of me, where it's 10 or 12 foot deep, I might will go along with that's a bayou. But when you're 42 foot deep and the Corps of Engineers dig it out every year, that's not a bayou. That's a shipping lane. Yes, it says Bakasat. That's the name of it. But it's not a bayou. And I just want y'all to take that into consideration and maybe help us get this back in writing that it's open, not just some little map, but in writing says we can shrimp there, or in writing we can't shrimp there. One or the other. A map shouldn't, a picture of something shouldn't make the law. The law should be written down where I could read it. And I have read them places where we can shrimp and where we can't shrimp. And I haven't never been caught in illegal waters because I don't shrimp illegal waters. Now, you say, well, you got caught in this one. Well, hell, ain't nobody knew it was illegal to shrimp there. I just want to let y'all to think about that. Maybe help me out. Thank you.
Thank you. Charles Williamson. Oh, there's two of them today. That was Junior, and this is, or either one. It might have got mixed up. This might be Junior, the third. Okay. Full name and city.
My name's Charles Williamson III. Own Biloxi Bait there in Small Craft Harbor in Biloxi. My dad owns CC's Bait Shop. During this time of the year, wintertime, is the only place I've been burning $150 a day in diesel to catch 3 pounds of shrimp going from Biloxi to Pascagoula. Past 3 weeks, because I got shut down here. I'm the one that got the ticket. 3 weeks, 150 a day, 2 to 10 pounds of shrimp a day. That's it. All the people who's fishing, we're getting bad reports on Facebook, everything else. Ain't no one got bait. You're only as good as the last time you brought bait in. That's how that works. 3 weeks shut down, you're paying all the employees every day to stay there. That's what's got to happen on top of all that. This one section, it's navigable. I'm a tugboat captain too. That's what I've done 18 years. It's all navigable. All the ship pilots know us, everything by first name basis. We all work there. Never been a problem, never issue. It's just this one area during certain times of years that's very critical for us. And the whole coast is affected right now. Go to any bait shop from line to line and find these shrimp. You're not gonna find none, because everything comes from this one spot during the winter time and the beginning of the spring like this. It's the only place. And I would appreciate it if y'all could, maybe help us out.
Thank you for the information, Director.
All right, two things. Number one, I'd like for Rick, I want you to tell me, is this something that's going to affect our industry wrong or right? In other words, if this area was open, as they are saying, has been perceived open for the last 60 years or whatever it is, and has it affected anything? Is it hurting something to be able to leave it open? That's number one.
So back up. I've been involved with the live bait industry years ago. So I knew the ins and outs. I know all the players, and I was unaware that Bakasat was closed because I knew they were fishing in there. So from a resource management standpoint, we've seen no impact because it has been ongoing. Like they said, it's really deep water. We're not looking at that having too much of an impact on our shrimp population overall. And they have been supplying the other dealers across the coast, because you may or may not be aware that bait shops they can sell to other bait shops. So if one's catching in Pascagoula, then they can take them across to Hancock County or Biloxi, and so it benefits the industry. Yes, sir. Okay, and obviously, one thing we don't want to do is affect our industry, because it's hard enough as a fisherman to make a living as it is. But the next question I got, Chief. Okay, is there anything, and maybe Sandy, you may have to step in here, is there anything to say that we cannot say that it is open because we have had it open for the last whatever years?
Is there something that I'm looking at? Can I legally say that we want to open this back up and not have to worry about it? Can I legally do that?
Well, going by the map that we're talking about, 1996 is when it was printed. Okay, so it's always said it was prohibited. Now, historically, I've been doing this job 25 years. Do I drive up in Bayou Casat and look for live baiters? No. Okay, I'll go to extreme east look for gill net. Live bait they're hard workers and we let them do their thing. But I'm not to say this was a violation. And let me set the record straight. We did not arrest CC. We gave him a citation. Okay, nobody was taken to jail. So at the end of the day, when you say arrest, that kind of means you're incarcerated. But once again, Director, we will work with you as much as we can on opening it for that matter. I have no issues with it.
Sandy, can I legally say that we want to leave this open?
Well, the regulations right now do not specify Bakasat as an open area. Is that correct? Okay.
It shows closed.
Well, it says that it's unlawful to catch or carry away saltwater shrimp from any bayou. Now, but then it says, except you can go to these certain areas. Bakasat is not listed in that area. However, from what I'm hearing today is people are saying, well, it's not really a bayou because it's a navigable channel. It's up to the commission, the director. I don't have the personal knowledge of what that bayou is, if it is a bayou, if it is a navigable channel. If y'all determine it's not a bayou, then it would not be prohibited under our current regulations.
Clear, concise regs to cite or not.
Yeah, I don't know that we have the right to decide to change the name, but.
Now, I'm not saying change the name. I'm saying classify it correctly.
Yeah. I guess my question is, all right, number one, we obviously, nobody in this agency, the Marine Patrol or the, as far as the fisheries side of it, think this is going to be anything that's hadn't been doing. We've been doing it for 30 years and it's been working and it hadn't had an issue. And if everything's been going that way for the last 30 years, is there a way that I can do something, Sandy, and I'm going to ask you this, that I can say that we're just going to do we're going to reopen this back up for the next 60 days, 90 days till we can do whatever we need to do to make sure that we do it right?
Under, let's see, 4915-304, the commission can make, and that would be you, Director, upon the commission's recommendation, can make exceptions to and grant variances from the regulations. So if you also desire, the commission could recommend that you make that exception or variance until you have time to study it further and make a final decision. And we can correct the regulations or we can correct the classification of the water.
Okay, so would you help the commission make that?
Yeah. Yep.
On up to the microphone, sir.
Keep in mind, CC's bait shop is sitting here, okay? North of his bait shop is Bakasat. We talking about a 42 to 45 foot navigable channel that we've been dragging for 50 years. And where they coming up with this imaginary line on this antique chart, when it runs to the north of CC's bait shop, and it controls that bayou, that 10 or 12 foot that Charlie was talking about, north of him. South of him is what's called Bakasat Ship Channel. That is a navigable ship channel. And we urge and beg this commission to pass this thing to where it can be opened back up temporarily till y'all can investigate it to where we could make a living. But keep in mind, north of his shop is the bayou, not south of it.
Bale's already done. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Jason just asked me though, do we want to restrict it to a certain depth? In other words, he's talking to 40 foot of water, not to 10 foot of water. Do we want to restrict it from a certain point? Is that something that we can do?
Temporarily.
Yeah.
Right now, we can just do an exception or a variance to the current regulations. And then once we have a chance to look at it, then we can make recommendations and bring it back in for consideration to actually change the regulation and or change the classifications of water depths or whatever, to allow live bait shrimping. I think right now we just need to make that exception to the regulation so that we can have time to look at it for a permanent solution.
How much time do you need, Rick?
Well, we could probably come back with something to the next meeting, but I would urge you to extend it on further than that. Sandy said 60 days or 90 days, that would be fine, but we could probably be prepared to bring something back for the next
Why
meeting.
don't we make 120 days to give us a chance? And let's make it 120 days if y'all could to look at it. And that way we can at least have a time to do what's right. And if we saw a snafu, we could fix it.
Yeah, and if you're looking for wording, maybe you could say the Bakasat ship channel up to the actual mouth of Bayou Casat, because they're going to be limited on depth anyway. They're not going to. There's a certain northern range they're going to go up to anyway, so it's going to self-regulate.
We need a motion
It looks like the motion is going to be to grant a variance to be able to fish for bait shrimp in Bayou Casat ship channel up to the mouth of the bayou for 120 days.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have anybody that wants to make the motion?
I'll make that motion.
The only question is it in terms of
Yeah, just leave that language out.
for the chief to be able to tell his guy, is that defined?
They're not going to get in there anyway. It's too shallow.
That it's almost. Rick, do we feel comfortable with just using the Bayou Casat ship channel as the area to be able to shrimp?
I think that will work.
Live bait.
Whatever makes it easy for them, they'll get the paperwork.
Yeah, like I said, there's a certain area where they're not going to be able to get up into anyway. So.
Gotcha. Okay, so just to revise that, it looks like we're looking to make a motion to grant a variance to to be able to shrimp or fish for bait shrimp in Bayou Casat ship channel for up to 120 days. Do we have a motion for that?
Yeah. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And one thing I just want to say is, I know the officers, and I'm not know which one that did this, that wrote the citation, but they were doing it by the law. And they were only doing it by the law. And, the officers will follow the law 100%. So I just want you to put that on record.
Understood.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think y'all can go fishing.
Get us some bait shrimp, please. Miss Aisha Gray, I apologize for passing you up earlier for the Grand Bay Near update.
That's fine. I just had a quick little report out from Celebrate the Gulf. We had a great event. It was great weather, which was kind of amazing because they were forecasting storms. There was a big crowd and we had tons of fun. Some of our individual booth counts were over 800, and the total count for what we think was in the park that day was 7,800 people. And so we had a lot of opportunities for people to interact. Every booth had some kind of hands-on something, and lots of questions were asked and answered, lots of caricatures. We saw some live animals. and people just had a lot of fun. Our partners came from DEQ as usual with Waterfest. The Office of Restoration for the last couple of years has been partnering with us and sponsoring the festival. Mississippi State University was there, Chevron was there, and gave awards for our science showcase. The Environmental Science Center was there, and Dauphin Island Sea Lab, Walter Anderson Museum of Art, and a whole lot more. I also have signed copies of our posters available for y'all and anyone else who wants one, and they are in the back with Brady. Nice. And that's all I had. Yeah.
Very
you're
nice.
welcome.
Thank you. It's good, exciting to see our young people getting involved like that.
Yeah,
Appreciate
they had a really good time. I know my
Like they
daughter
did,
was
for sure.
constant questions and had a really good time with it.
Thank you.
Anything else you gonna bring up?
I think I'm ready. If somebody wants to make a motion to adjourn, I'd
Like to make.
I'll second.
Anything you want to bring up?
I thought we could go.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I think it was Cam that seconded that one. Did you second?